Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a quick word from one of our sponsors, Apax Lab. Elevate your coffee experience with Apax Lab mineral concentrates. Apax Lab's precision-engineered formulas, including tonic, jam, and lilac, are designed to enhance the coffee's natural flavors. It's not going to change it, it's just going to enhance it. It's going to bring out the vibrant acidity, the rich sweetness, or if you use lilac, it might bring out those delicate floral notes that you've been looking for. Trusted by world-class cafes and even barista champions, Apax Lab helps you unlock your coffee's full potential. Discover more at apaxlab.com. Wait, where was that again, Sonam?
The internet.
Oh, okay. Thought he was going to say the website. Thanks. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors at Eco Barista. The reason I sound like this is because they got massages at our stand at Mice, and so I'm getting a massage while recording this message for you. They're the best sponsor of the pod that we could have had. They have the best eco products. This probably sounds really pornographic, but it's not. I'm just getting a massage. They have the best eco-friendly coffee products. They got coffee bags that you can design yourself. They got cups. They got iced coffee cups. They got everything you need. So make sure to support them because they support us. Head to ecobarista.com.au and get 15% off your first purchase when you sign up. Oh, mama, that's good. I throw my hands up to playing my thong and it's something. Wearing my hands like, something.
I can't get I can't get over that you just said they're playing my thong. You just said that.
My thong. I've got a lisp. Don't make fun of me for my lisp.
It's funny that you bring that up. I just watched the Hannah Montana movie.
Oh, yeah?
The ending scene is incredible. It's too good.
I don't know if it has any Lizzie McGuire movie.
No, it does. There's a key change and an outfit change within 5 seconds.
Well, you're trying to say you made it through a movie.
And you can change your clothes.
You made it through a movie without falling asleep.
I fell asleep. I've just rewatched it.
Yeah,
cool.
Cool.
At that. We'll get into the details of this relationship a bit later. But today, 2025 has given us some amazing new coffee tools, machines, tools, all the different things. One of the great things about having a coffee channel, we're just getting some messages coming in from there. I'll turn that down. One of the great things about having a coffee channel with Golden Brown is I get to test out a lot of these. So today we have some of the new 2025 coffee tools that I'm going to kind of review and tell you my experience with. And there are some that have only just been announced, so we haven't got our hands on yet, but we can still dive into and speculate wildly. We're going to be looking at machines from Marzocco, Breville, Fellow's new espresso machine. We've got coffee tools from the NCD Pulse from Nucleus, who created the classic frozen ball with espresso brewed over the top.
Oh, yes.
So those guys.
Yeah, they're the ones who made that. We're also going to be looking at, we've got the new grinders in, the Mahlkönig grind by weight and grind by sink grinders. We'll be diving into all of that and letting you know our thoughts. But as we have to introduce the podcast, as always, I'm Rohan Cook, and we have a special guest host today,
Katie Payne.
And we, of course, have producer
Liam Conroy.
And as always, it's just coffee. Hey, so we have Katie in today as I thought it was like a nice kind of breaker of we can talk about all this nerdy coffee stuff and she can tell us whether it's absolute crap or not. Are you excited to dive into all this stuff?
Yeah, I'm going to be brutal about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. And how do you, what's your like kind of homebrew situation like? How are you making coffee at home?
Well, I've just recently got a little Breville machine. So it used to be pour over.
What Breville? Is it the Barista Express?
No, it's the dual boiler.
Oh, so like the high end we're looking at.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good to be alive. We used to be a big V60 pour over, but every time I made it, it tastes like shit. So I was like, I'm going to have to go into espresso. So yeah, loving the dual boiler.
Now, would you say that the V60s being crap, was that the making of, or is that the method that you're not liking? Because you're American, right? So would I be right to assume that drip coffee to you is maybe a slightly different thing where it's like drip coffee when you're in the States? Obviously, sorry, not generalizing here. I know they make amazing V60s and everything, but if you walk into a regular coffee shop and you say, I want a black coffee, you just get the big vat pumped into a cup and it's...
Want a pot of coffee?
Yeah,
Who wants a pot of coffee?
You want a pot of coffee. It's
Not from New York. That's never happened.
I'm pretty sure that's everywhere.
We're from Iowa. I like corn in a can.
You get your coffee from Casey's gas station and put hazelnut creamer in it.
Yeah, so
Hello.
that's the experience I'm talking about. I'm talking about like dark roasted, full-bodied drip coffee made through like a big flatbed dripper kind of machine.
Church tar.
So do you think that So do you think that the V60 thing is being more used to that style, or do you think you were making it poorly?
I think I was making it bad because every time other people in the house would make it, I was like, oh, this is delicious.
Oh, okay.
So I'm used to having like my drip coffee thing taking 5, 10, 15 minutes to make when you put it in the machine and you just you dump it in, you put the filter, and then you just wait. And it takes like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So when this V60 is like, 4 minutes, roughly.
Yeah. And
I was like, there's no way.
In the context of Liam saying, I know I've probably mentioned this before, but I'll just bring it up. The context of Liam saying, oh, you finished a movie before. These two are partners in crime and love.
I really wanted to lean into that, being like, I also got a dual boiler I tended to make V60s. My V60s were pretty good.
Yeah, he makes the coffee.
Well, I would say for the listeners, I would call out there, it's not officially labeled, but I would say that Katie is probably a super taster because she's, you find that people that are particular with food often have that kind of level, but like you'll give her coffee, she's like, tastes like soy sauce. Like just everything that's in there is just this like instant connection to a food. And I think because you'll be particular, maybe not like certain things and like others, then when that flavor's in there, it stands out so much to you. Like, no, I hate that because it's got X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So even though you're not deep into the coffee world, I feel like you'd be great if you were. But maybe it's better.
Maybe
on the
this is like my origin story. Like you have no idea how much inflates my ego being like, you're a super taster. And I'm like, yeah.
Basically, it's my nice way of saying
like,
you
this
complain
tastes
a
like
lot.
cherry chapstick. Like it's not like notes of elderflower blossom. It's like, this tastes like my shoe. Like, you know.
But
like
also the people who are saying those things have been trained to say those words. You know, it's not like that's their great like tongue and taste buds and nose and everything. They're just like learning words that describe a certain characteristics. You have all the characteristics there.
Yeah.
It's the Melbourne, the more time you spend in Melbourne, I think your palate ends up growing in vocabulary.
Yeah.
Because it's the Melbourne way. Let's add as many flavors as we can subtly.
Lactic.
Yeah.
Mine starts with tastes like burnt shit is actually like, you know, I think that's now like rubber, you know?
Yeah. You can say it's rubbery. You know, a lot of dark over roasted coffees would have that tar/rubbery taste.
Sorry.
It's actually a nice segue because you guys have the Breville dual boiler at home. The first machine that we want to talk about, a new launch. It's been at coffee shows, but I can't find much more about it on the internet, is the Breville Oracle dual boiler. Is that right? Is it Oracle or is it? Yeah. Look it up, double check, that's what we got. But they've done the Oracle Jet, right? That was their latest one that was big. And now this is the dual boiler version. So it's kind of taking, the Oracle Jet is all the technology, all the automation that you could hope for. And the dual boiler is like their best machine build being put into it. So if you don't know the Oracle Jet, I would say that this machine is like the closest you can get to a semi-automatic, but giving you the manual experience. So the way that it works is there's a screen interface that guides you through the whole thing. And not only that, it'll teach you how to like dial it in and change things if you're getting it wrong. It will auto dial in. It auto grinds. So you put your basket in, auto grinds and tamps. So it tamps it for you. You then put it in. You pick what drink you want from a menu. It'll pull the espresso based on the yield and how quickly it extracts. It'll then give you guidance for how to change your grind size. So if you're at grind size 20, it'll be like, this thing ran too quick. You need to make it finer. We suggest going to grind size 14. And I would say generally, if you're starting from scratch, it saves a lot of dialing and wasted coffee. I would say that you get to a pretty good space in 3 shot pulls. If you don't already automatically have it somewhere good, if you're far off, 3 shot pulls and it will get you there. Not only that, you can then manual steam, but you can also auto steam, MILQ, I believe they call it.
Say that again.
Auto milk is what the technology is called.
Yeah, with a Q.
MILQ.
With a Q.
And the auto steaming, I've worked it before. Really good for dairy. Alternative milks, pretty pretty good. It often will sometimes with some of the milks have bubbles on the top, but if you tap it out and just give it a swirl, it's still that great texture. It can just sometimes be a bit more bubbly. The difference is this machine it had one heating element that I assume you'd get in their regular Breville machines. Now with the dual boiler, I'm assuming you can steam and extract at the same time. So you can have your auto dialing in going, you can have your auto milk going, but these things are not going to be cheap. I think the Oracle Jet was in around $3,000 something. So
yeah, it's like
who knows? This must be coming in at like $4,000 or something, which is an interesting space because it starts getting into that super specialty like Marzocco category where you're like, for a couple grand more I can get a Marzocco Linear Mini. But I guess this is probably for like wealthy people that don't want to learn the nitty gritty and just have it done for them. And the Marzocco can't do that. If you don't know how to use an espresso machine, you're screwed with a Marzocco. So I guess that $4,000 is like, I can barely do nothing and make an amazing cafe quality level coffee.
Yeah, it's everything I strive for.
Yeah.
It's sort of like when you get boxed brownie mix and they're like, just take this and this and put it in a bowl and put it in the oven. That's what it's like using the Oracle Jet.
The Oracle Jet, like box brownie mix.
Yeah.
Brownie mix. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
So this kind of thing, this works for you. Would you want to, I don't know if it's expensive, but would you prefer this to the dual boiler that you already have?
Well, it's just a whole other like category. You know, I'm now getting to a point after 4 years of living in Melbourne, sort of scratching the surface of coffee. You know what I mean? Now I feel like I'm backpedaling, being like, what do you mean you're doing it for me? I've spent 3 years trying to pour a latte art and steam my own milk, and now I can't. You can, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. You also live with Nerdy Nerdison, who I'm sure would want the dual boiler so he can do all of his little dialing in. Like,
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep.
Me in the morning, that's me.
Liam wants all of that, but honestly, like I can, it would be perfect for like when you just don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's giving like Nespresso ease and like efficiency, but like with a beautiful interface.
Yeah.
You're switching it up.
And the new interface has like, I saw some product demos. It has like it's gone like Fast and the Furious on us. Like the pressure gauges and everything looks like a speedometer on a car. It looks like it's revving its engine.
I was pretty impressed with the Oracle, like the actual interface is really smooth and like everything, the way that
Breville had some like backlash in the past for like some of their machines, like the Touch, which is a great machine, but the screen just isn't up to snuff. Like it was a bit laggy and like whatever. And in a day when we all have these amazing iPhones in our pocket, you can't bring out a piece of technology that has a laggy screen because everyone will just compare it to like, why would I use that when I have my phone here? So I think their upgrade on that is great. Also, for anyone, this is more of an American thing, I feel, but getting big in Australia, it's got like cold functionalities where it can make like cold brew and cold espresso as well. Cold espresso, the cold brew is pretty good. Like if you're just making like an iced drink and adding milk, I thought the cold brew was pretty good.
My question is
4 minutes cold brew. Like we try to make cold brew and it takes 24 hours. So
my question is, sorry to jump in, when are they going to make a machine where like, you know, you leverage the screen and the iOS, like all the capabilities of your phone. So you literally just plug in with your phone and like sync an app that is like the interface of your entire machine.
I get that. And like people are like, Marzocco has done it because Marzocco want their machines to last forever. So they don't want digital screens on the machine.
Yep.
Because they want just little analog whatever, so it can always be replaced. It cannot last the test of time. I have yet to have an experience where I use it via my phone and I enjoy that process, where I'm taking out my phone as I'm doing this. Whatever reason, it just doesn't connect for me. And I'm not against it. I've just yet to have an experience where it feels natural and beneficial. If it makes it harder, I don't want to do it. My final thoughts on the machine. It makes pretty close, especially with milk-based coffees, to like a cafe quality level, the Oracle Jet. It's very expensive. I would say if you have the skill of making a coffee, this machine is not for you. Get the dual boiler. The dual boiler is the best Breville machine for the price range of like, if you know how to dial in and do all that, that machine kills it in every aspect. If you don't know anything of what you're doing and want that cafe quality level, this machine's pretty damn cool. That moves us on to Sunbeam released a new range as part of their Origins range. It's pretty similar in the lineup of like the market that it's looking for. They've got a slim line, which I'd say is like the Bambino. They got the classic, which is kind of like the Barista Express comparison. The one that I thought was cool and the different things that I liked is the new Origins Sense. It's just a simple thing, but not many machines in the price range have it. It's got a temperature sensor in the steam wand. So before you start steaming, you can pick the temperature that you want. So depending on if you're using an oat milk, you can pick a lower temperature like 55 to 60 degrees because they need lower temperatures. But if you use dairy, you can throw it up to 65 and then it will stop steaming once you reach that level. I think for beginners, that's pretty cool.
No, I think that's so important because like, yeah, I feel like I'm such on the lower end of not a coffee nerd. So like, how am I meant to know what temperature my milk is? I don't know if I'm burning it. I don't know if it's, you know what I mean? I got little baby hands as well. You go by touch.
Yeah.
I got a lukewarm hot chocolate. I'm not happy about it.
That's the funny thing with like going by touch. It's like baristas are like burning their hands and have like hospo hands, where someone at home, it's like it's going to be way hotter for them to touch than like someone else. So it's just going to be, there's no consistency in that ranking of like just go by your hand. You can start working out numbers or get another thermometer. But for just something installed in the machine, I'm like, for a lot of people that adds ease. You can also just turn it off. So I thought that was cool. The other cool things with that machine is 58 millimeter portafilter on a lower end machine where a lot of the others are 54. I much prefer a 58 millimeter. I find that the deeper baskets that come with, because if you make the hole smaller, 54 millimeters of the portafilter, it then needs to be deeper. So your bed of coffee is going to be much deeper than in a 58 millimeter, which will be smaller. What that means is the deeper bed builds up more resistance. So you have to grind coarser. And that's going to change how much you extract from it. With the 58 millimeter bed, it's much thinner, so you need to grind finer. You're opening up that surface area for more potential to extract more flavors from that. So I thought that was a cool thing that they had as well. So that's the new Sunbeams range. That's just in Australia.
That's cool. I remember hearing about the, just jumping back to the Steam One thing, when Nick Casey came through talking about Starbucks, they rely on like the steam ones that have temperature gauges in them too. They like automatically shut off. It's good.
Especially for consistency of someone like Starbucks. That's
There's something so funny about like the old school barista that holds onto the jug and there's like no, you should be able to like just gauge that.
Yeah.
I remember going to a cafe where they were like, I asked for a thermometer just to like on a new machine. They were like, no, we don't use them here. I'm like, you need to let go of your ego.
Imagine a chef being like, no, we're not going to test this chicken. You know what I mean? Like looks done. Good luck.
Such a weird thing.
And I would say for that, it's like a lot of baristas would like to message and be like, if you can't measure the temperature by hand, then you suck and I get it perfect every time. I would love to come into your cafe without you knowing, come in with a little temperature probe, put it in your milk time after time after time.
That's a good competition. Can I add that to the next thing?
Yeah.
Guess the temperature of the milk by touch.
Yeah. And I guarantee you there will be a variance going off there. Like I was pretty close when I was doing it, but it was still, there'd be variances of like with a machine that steams your milk in 9 seconds, if you spin that knob, also the time to spin the knob, if your hand gets stuck, if whatever happens, like you're gonna, if you miss it by 1 second, that's multiple degrees that you're changing that milk temperature by. All right, the next espresso machine, this one I'm excited for. This looks sick. So Fellow, who make all the scales and kettles and all those coffee tools that we know and love, have just released the big guns and brought out a full-blown espresso machine.
That's huge.
Also, price-wise, you're looking at like, I think as a starting price, like just over $1,200 US for this machine. So like not breaking the bank either. So some of the things that this machine boasts, something that they've patented called the boosted boiler, which is actually a 3-point heating mechanism to heat your coffee so that the machine can heat up in 90 seconds. So from what I've seen in the videos, I haven't read much about it. It looks like they have a coil heating element like you'd get in like a Breville machine or something like that. Then it looks like there's a boiler in between, and then it looks like there's another heating element in the group head of the machine so that you're getting like precise to the degree water right at the group head. So
Pretty too.
yeah, it's stunning. It looks beautiful. I've got it up here. So I'll pull that around for KP to have a look at.
don't get me wrong. That shit's appealing.
Yeah.
That's a sexy looking machine.
Aesthetically,
Steam one
Fellow have always nailed just like the look and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the boiler,
that's
it's
good.
not a dual boiler though. So this is, I think, my assumption from what I've seen is it's not dual where you can have one heating element for steam and one heating element for your extraction. But I feel like from what I saw with this 3-point heating, this boosted boiler that they're talking about, I think as soon as you finish extraction, you can turn on the steam wand and it will be able to go straight away without like a heat up time that you'd get on the other machines. So that's cool. I don't think you can do it at the same time because I think it comes from the same heat source, but you can instantly switch across.
I have a hot take.
Yeah.
Look, worked on many coffee machines. We have a dual boiler at home. I don't think I need to do an extraction at the same time as milk. Don't get me wrong, you got to do it quickly, but I will tend to let it extract and then I'll do my milk separately, and I'll stand by that.
I'm into that.
No, that makes sense. I'm a quick boy. Like if I'm making just a milky in the morning, like I'm not caring if I'm like about the dose yield, like to the exact degree. I'll be like, I'm rocking that. I'm watching it. I know where I want it to go to. It's dialed. I'm steaming at the same time. And it's like, bang, I'm
Just
out.
said a milky in the morning. I'm not going to let that go.
Who doesn't have a milky in the morning?
When I'm making my milky in the morning.
I love a milky morning.
Yeah, I think
Should that be our podcast name? The Milky Morning?
The Milky
Welcome
Morning.
back to the Milky Morning.
Hey, it's almost World Milk Day.
Oh,
so
there you go.
I think you nailed it. I think we want to watch a good kind of extraction. So it's like I'm not actually focusing on milk and dealing with a weaker or steam wand, which actually takes more effort to do good milk on. I want to see that the extraction's good.
When I first started getting into this world, though, of like, it takes, it heats up super fast. I never really thought of that being important to me. I was like, okay, just like let the machine heat up. Y'all, the difference, like for example, back to the Oracle Jet, that thing heats up in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
You turn it on, it's ready to go.
Oh, it makes all the, especially because
Sorry.
I'm someone who like decides they want a coffee and I want to make it. Like the
Yeah.
idea of like turning on a machine, then waiting. By the time it's ready, I'm like, ugh,
Some
don't even
machines
want
take like 20 minutes. So
Me want milky.
we want milky fast.
But to talk through the design of this machine, it is like a beautiful modern box. So it's completely like flat, sleek on all sides. It's got a flat drip tray that protrudes out from the box, and then you have a beautiful free hanging group head. So imagine just a big silver cylinder coming out from the machine with a wooden group head handle coming out of it. The steam wand extends out the top of the machine and arcs over to the front. Beautiful, sleek, square. This is one of those machines, especially at that price range. Like sometimes with the consumer grade coffee machines, I'm like, hey, it makes really great coffee, but I'm like, looks like ugly as sin on my benchtop. This looks sleek. So if you're someone worried about aesthetics, this would look amazing in your house. The next thing they want to talk about, which is amazing again at the price, is what they're calling true consistency from their webpage. So they want to help people. This is for everyone from beginner to full pro. I think they want to add as much preset stuff, but also enough variables that you can play with. So you can choose from preset espresso profile. So when you're in there, you can say whether using dark roast, medium roast, light roast, and it will change, I believe, flow rates, temperatures, and all that kind of stuff to match what you're putting in there. So again, if you're a beginner, it's like, I'm looking at the bag, it says light roast, whatever, bang, they've got a preset recipe. Dial in every part of the thing. So if you're the nerd that wants to do it, you can change the pressure or the flow, the temperature. You can adjust all of those things to really like nerd out and adjust for your coffees. Save unique espresso profile. So once you make them, you can save them into the machine. And then it says replicate shots of a commercial machine, but who knows? We'll see. Then we've got assisted steaming as the final thing. So this is something we just talked about with the Sense, and obviously now coming in. The temperature sensing steam wand auto stops at target temperature and then auto purges after use. And can be customized for different milks based on what you're using. So
the auto purge.
Yeah, the auto purge is also helpful for like lazy people out there that don't do that. But the wand pulls out once you put it back into its default position over the drip tray. Auto purge, all cleaned out. Also increases the longevity of the machine.
Yeah.
Purge meaning you're cleaning out the steam wand.
Yes, correct. And then what does it say here? Oh, and then it will also give you that feedback based on your shot. So not sure what grind setting to use. It'll read your yield and then it'll tell you that you need to grind finer or grind coarser. That's cool. Which is so great because 90% of my messages in my inbox are, what do I do with this shot? And I just 90% of the time it's grind finer. I should just have auto reply grind finer. But this machine will do that for you. This one I'm excited about. I can't wait to try to get my hands on it because I want to see if at that price it can do all that it's saying. Because if so, then this is like a great corner of the market carved out for these guys. Your thoughts?
I'm still stuck on the fact of like, my brain is on a different level. I think this is maybe the most stunning machine I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And using, like, we have a Fellow scale. We have like even Fellow glassware. I'm like, it's premium. It's a really good time. So I'd be excited to test that out as someone that doesn't know how to make a coffee. What I was going to say though is like, I want to do an experiment when it's like, it's going to taste, when you said it's going to taste like it does from a cafe. Am I actually going to taste a difference? You know what I mean? Does a $600 machine versus that guy actually make it taste different?
I actually did like a test the other day for a video of like $26,000 setup versus 600. My theory is if you're a milk-based drinker that generally just wants like a medium to dark roast and you want to make lattes, flat white, cappuccinos, that kind of thing, then I could make you something as good as a $26,000 setup for just that basic range using like a Breville Barista Express. Like that is feasible. Where it comes into the difference is all those micro differences. Like if you're looking at someone who's having a bunch of different coffee types, different processing, different roast levels. If you're wanting to try different recipes, change brew for, all these things are going to change the nuance of even the same bean. Like with things like flow profiling or pressure profiling and temperature, you could have the same coffee taste a million different ways by doing that. Can you do that with the Breville Barista Express? No. So that's where I go, if you just want to make cappuccinos every day, don't worry about all the stuff. Like a Breville Barista Express will get you there. But if you are someone that loves coffee and wants to dive into this, which I think Fellow's audience is that audience, then that kind of machine is going to get them a lot out of that. And you know what? That machine, if it works and can do all those things, it'll get more out of espressos than some of these giant commercial machines could because they don't have flow profiling and pressure profiling.
Right. They just have torque.
Kind of yeah.
I feel like the main thing is that they have torque.
Yeah. And so one thing that I want to look at here is obviously Fellow grinders, they have the Ode, which is like a really famous filter coffee grinder. Expensive, beautiful, great. They also bought out the Opus conical burr grinder for espresso, but that felt like it was targeted at a much lower home barista demographic in terms of they wanted to make it affordable. They wanted it for people who were like buying the Bambinos and this and that. But I think that there was a trade-off of like the build quality and feel. Like it doesn't feel as premium as that other stuff. It looks beautiful. It just feels a bit more plasticky and it's really hard to dial in, like really hard. Like you pick the numbers, but then you have to adjust by another grind setting. So let's say you go from 4 to 5, that jump is huge. You then have to like take it off and adjust by micro adjustments again. So too many steps. Like I know that people can figure it out, but when you're making coffee, a certain level of user experience and ease needs to be the goal. So my next question is, with that espresso maker, do they have a grinder that's going to be living up to the look and feel of that?
It's interesting with the fellow. The espresso that no matter what grinder you have, it will still give you feedback. So you could have that's kind of a nice touch. I like that
Well, I mean, that's an interesting point. What is it giving you feedback on? Like what grinder? Because grind adjustments, as we'll talk about in a second with the next tool, is so subjective and different based on different grinders. So what is it kind of, what feedback is it going to give us?
Yeah, it couldn't give you exact. I wonder if, interesting.
Yeah. I wonder if it's it's way off. You need to grind, quite a bit finer. Yeah. I don't know what the steps would be because there's only a few videos out and that at the moment. Some people did some hands-on with it. Hopefully we can get our hands on one coming up. But the next one, this is jumping into more of a commercial level.
Boy.
The new Mahlkönig grind by weight grinders, there's both the E65S and the E80S. Difference between those being one is the 80 millimeter burr and one is 65 millimeter. And so that'll just work off speed and efficiency and longevity. So the 80 would be for higher, larger cafes or bigger groups that are going through a lot. It grinds a bit quicker. It's that thing grinds a 21 gram shot in 4 or 5 seconds.
This one's over the shoulder of
Oh, can you actually see it in the background? Yeah. There's two of them.
Cannot stress enough how satisfying this grinder is. It's insane.
Yeah.
It slides down a chute. You know what I mean? In like
a water slide into your portafilter.
Straight up.
It's the definition of for anyone that goes skiing or snowboarding. They're that fresh powder. This is so powdery. There's no clumping. It's it's the perfect consistency every time. It's crazy.
So I would say that Mahlkönig were one of the companies that kind of brought that grind by weight to the market and made it famous. And they've done some stuff, and I've only been using it for a couple of weeks, so I still want to keep testing it and using it to get my head around it a bit more. But they've made some huge changes and huge leaps in that commercial space, which I'm pretty blown away by. It also grinds by sync, where it connects with Marzocco, but we'll talk about that a bit later. So the first thing that we'll talk about is grind by weight. So it has a scale, like a loading cell where you put your portafilter. That thing, the scale, when you have your portafilter in there, weighs it 6,000 times a second as it's grinding. So as you grind, it is weighing that portafilter 6,000 times every second to make sure that the accuracy is pinpoint. So it measures every time to within 0.1 of a gram. So if you put in 21 grams, once it's dialed, it'll never be more than 21.1 or 20.9.
Insanely accurate.
Yeah. Because it has to have that many because it's grinding so fast. So think about trying to measure that out when you're grinding 21 grams in 5 seconds. It needs to weigh it that many times. So that's really cool. The second thing that they've done is you'll notice there's no burr adjustment collar on the top. So with other grinders, the way that it works is you've got a big collar on the top and normally it has some arbitrary numbers and lines and you just kind of move it back and forth as a reference point for where you want to get your grind. So where that's hard is dialing in. If you're starting with a new bean, a new whatever, you're like, how much do I actually need to move it? Where's it going? This grinder has removed that and it is all controlled by a little digital screen, and all of your burr adjustments are done from that digital screen. And rather than it being an arbitrary number, it is the exact micron distance. They have 2 lasers inbuilt in the grinder that measure the exact distance between the 2 burrs. So it's measuring the exact micron, which is how much of a millimeter? 0.001 or something. I don't know. Look that up for us, Liam, what the actual definition of a micron is.
You think I know metric system. You know?
But it then allows you, when you change it it's so satisfying. You change your grind size on the screen with a micron adjustment and you hear the little burrs and that go and move back and forth.
It's 1/1,000,000th of a meter.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's how much a micron is that it's measuring. Where this is great is if let's say you had a chain of like 8 coffee shops, you have your head barista, whatever it is, they dial in the coffee, they can take that exact micron measurement, let's say it's 230, and they can say to the other shop, set your grinder to 21 grams, set it to whatever it is, 230 micron adjustment, and that is dialed in for the coffee that we're using for this new blend that we're launching. And they can do that across every cafe, and you don't have to have the barista training and experience. If you have like some staff that aren't as dialed in, kind of levels the playing field
Good
across that. It also makes it easier because zeroing in a grinder is when you bring the burrs to touching point. So that means that you are starting from the finest grind size, and then every adjustment out is just getting wider. Beforehand, that's taking apart the grinder, that's getting tools to run the grinder, and you know that it's at 0 when they start chirping. It means the burrs are touching. They're like, and that
those
is
magnets that you throw up in the air. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Are you kidding?
I love those things.
Zit magnet thing that go.
What are these zit magnets?
You're so millennial. Pretty sure it is a millennial thing, actually.
They're like
these little oblong shaped things. They're magnets, and then they go. It sounds exactly like what you just said.
The only thing I can link it to is if you really want to get millennial, is there are trees around here that have like little propeller leaves that like dry and fall off.
You have those here.
And when you throw them into the air, it like spins like a helicopter. Yeah. That was like how we entertained ourselves as kids. I was like, like coming down. But this machine now can basically auto zero in, where zeroing in would take 15 minutes before. Now it takes under 15 seconds, where all you do is make sure the hop is empty. You go into the screen, you hold down the grind button, and you just spin the dial, and the burr gets closer and closer. Then when you hear it go, you're done, you stop, and your machine's zeroed in. So now, no training, no staff, just anyone who knows how to use a touch screen, all the iPad babies out there can just jump on that and do it.
I'm not going to lie. For the last 15 minutes, I've like blanked out because this feels like really nerdy stuff. So
I'm boring you. Well, no. I need to bring her back.
No. What I'm saying is if you are a listener that is like me and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Microns and burrs and things like that. I think what you're saying is like this grinder is insanely accurate to a point that's like NASA should be using this kind of technology in their spapeships. Like it literally feels like that. Where it's like you're going to get the exact same coffee every single time.
Yeah.
Are these the best?
And that's insane.
Are these the best grinders like made currently?
Oh, there would be so many arguments about why people would or would not use them. There's different arguments between flat burr, conical burr grinders because it gives you different grind like particle sizes.
What's the difference?
So a conical burr is probably going to give you more fines maybe, or a different particle difference there that would lead to a more full-bodied cup. Like imagine like, Italian espresso, I want it to be syrupy and rich and textural in my mouth, whereas flat burrs are going to give you a lot cleaner cup, a lot more defined cup. The flavors will be more defined, but it might not have the same body. So a lot of modern espresso is leaning towards flat burr, classic espresso leading more conical burr in that kind of stuff. In terms of the tech in what you're seeing here, I think this is like leading the way. I think if they can, the iterations to come, if they can nail like the grind by sync, this is the other part. It's not on every machine, but this La Marzocco we have here can do it. Basically, you can, through the cloud and internet, you can connect the two grinders to the device and you can set the recipes that you want. And when you pull the shot on the La Marzocco, it'll basically say, let's say on the grinder, you say, I want 21 grams and I want to get out 42 grams in around 27 seconds. You pull the shot on the La Marzocco, it takes 33 seconds. It sends that information back to the grinder and it automatically adjusts the burrs to change to get your ideal range.
It dials in for you.
So not only helping you dial in at the day, but one of the things is, let's say you go on a huge rush, you're making coffee after coffee after coffee. Your coffee is undialing itself over that period. And then after an hour or two, you go, everyone stop, let's quickly dial back in and make sure it's all good. Or you're weighing out with scales and trying to do it in live time, but you're losing time. This machine, just shot after shot after shot, will make tiny micro adjustments to make sure that it's dialed in.
So it's actually the other way around. The more you use this, the more dialed it will get, because it's getting more data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with changes with temperature, because humidity and temperature and all those things are going to change the beans and how they expand and how they grind. As the layman, Katie, how does all that sound to you? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Basically, I think this kind of stuff is great for cafes that maybe have a few different chains, that maybe have a high turnover of staff, people that aren't as experienced. It just helps level the playing field so there's more consistent results going out. Are you going to get better results necessarily out of it than one of their other grinders or another one? No. You can, if you know what you're doing, you can do it. But if you have multiple shops and you need to try to get a consistency across all of them, that's amazing. Think about it if you're Axel, right? Axel Coffee Roasters, which is a Melbourne or Australian coffee roaster. They have the world barista champion, Anthony Douglas, a few years back. Let's say he does a new roast, goes into the shop, dials it in. He wants people across Australia or across, it could be the world if you wanted, to experience exactly what he's created. He can go to the shop. I've sent you the new roast. Here's the grams I want you to use. Here's the yield I want out. Here is every variable that I want. Here's the exact micron measurement of the grinder. And you can start to get consistency of an experience across multiple locations without needing World Barista Champions at every single shop.
So sick.
So
it's also like, are we getting to the point where we're going to have that tech at home and then we can be like, I want an Anthony Douglas coffee this morning. Beep boop. Comes through.
Preset with just like cool. Celebrities coffee orders.
That'd be very cool. All right, moving on to the next one. This is a quick one. Subminimal, the Subscale. This is super easy. It's just, this is one of those products where you just like, when you use it, you're like, this is fun to use and I just love it.
It's so much fun. Wait, get ready. If you're watching, watch right now. Yeah, boy. So minimal.
It's a dosing cup with a digital scale inside it. You just pop whatever you want inside and you got a scale.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Well, it's food safe. So, whatever you want.
Yeah. Weighing out my grapes.
Where I'll say this is great and where there are problems that people will find is if you it's just a nice fun thing to have. Single dosing, I'm doing filter coffee, pour in my coffee, put it in the grinder, great, we move on. Where people have issues is they want it to be everything. They want to be like, well, why can't I put it under my espresso and extract? Why can't I do that? And it's like, don't buy it if you don't want it then. Like, this is what it does. It's a dosing cup with a scale in it. If you want to measure your yield with another scale, you still need that. He's not saying it's replacing that. And when I say he, Dom, who runs Subminimal, it's just a fun tool that works really well. It does exactly what it says on the box, and that is one of my favorite things to use. That is a lot of fun.
I think it gets a lot of backlash because you're like, well, what's wrong with my scale? It's like nothing.
Nothing. We're not saying to replace it.
Of a cup.
It's not a cup.
You'd be surprised how easy this is to Anyway.
Everyone likes pretty things. Everyone likes things that just work and that are simple.
Just works. Even to the fact of like the Subminimal logo runs across the screen. But if you start pouring in beans, it's weighing it in the background. So once it finishes running, like it works well, it's quick, it's easy, and just fun to use, which is a big thing that I think a lot of coffee tools miss. Fun to use.
Yes.
The next one, this one, controversial, the NCD Pulse. So this is by Nucleus we were talking about. This is like, those wedge tools that have like the 3 different wedges on the bottom. Basically, you put it in your portafilter and you spin it, and these wedges flatten your bed of coffee. Often when you grind, you'll end up with like a mountain of coffee sitting out of your portafilter. So this is meant to have wedges that you put down and it makes it flat. That's going to help you get a more even extraction with coffee distributed around the whole bed. Where this one gets interesting, because these guys made the NCD 10 years ago. The Pulse is basically a vibrator. And the idea is these wedges will distribute horizontally, and then the vibrations, when you turn it on, will distribute vertically. It'll knock out the air pockets. The idea came from cement layers who would use vibrations to
of course,
take out air pockets when they're laying cement so that it's a more sturdy foundation. And we want to get rid of air pockets in our coffee pucks because that leads to channeling. It means that when the water tries to go through your coffee bed, those pockets of air will crack your puck and water will flow through, and you'll end up with an uneven extraction through that.
I guess this hits the fun to use. I really can't imagine the vibrations are doing that much.
So interesting you say that. We've got a YouTube coming out that I did with World Brewers, with Australian Brewers finalist Jamie Thompson to do some taste tests. We didn't do it against WDTs and all the other tools. We just wanted to do it because one of the cool things with this is workflow efficiency in a cafe workspace. You want it to be quick and you want to make your coffee as best as possible. With our setup, you grind your coffee, you put this on top. You just need to, it's 2-3 seconds. You spin it twice, take it off, tamp, and you're done. That's all the prep that you need to kind of do. So we did a blind taste test with Jamie, and surprisingly, the difference was huge. And he picked out in a split second, basically, the difference with each cup. He didn't pick out the NCD, but he picked out differences in each cup. He'd sip it and go, this one I'm tasting clearly all the flavors. It's got balance. This one's a lot punchier. The flavors are a bit more muddled, blah, blah, blah. And we did it with a dark roast, medium dark roast. We did it with a washed medium roast, and we did it with a wildly fermented like anaerobic coffee from Prouties, and every single one picked that difference without a shadow of a doubt. So
sounds like you need a super taster to try this out.
We should have brought you in as well as the triple test. But I was really surprised with how well this worked. My next diving in will be like WDTing and the differences in those kind of levels. I less care about soluble stuff, which is measuring the strength of coffee, because I'm just talking taste. That's what I'm more worried about when I'm doing this.
It kind of like set me off on a a journey in my mind, bro, of like the whole concept of like concrete laying and getting rid of like the everything. But with like a filter coffee, you would bloom it, right? You would pour over the top and you would kind of let the water go through, but then you would agitate it as well, so that you get rid of the air pockets and you make sure that the water gets, you get all the bubbles and all the stuff, similar to like when you're pouring a Milo and you see down the bottom that there's this weird little air pocket somehow, and you want to kind of agitate that and get rid of the air. Why isn't that the case with like espresso? Like in my head, I'm like, why isn't it that you grind the coffee into the portafilter, you then wet it and agitate it to get rid of you make a concrete and then put it through like, the espresso machine to kind of yield. What flavors would you get from that? Like, I know that's called like pre-wetting and pre.
Well, yeah. So pre-infusion and pre-wetting would be the idea of blooming that coffee.
There's no agitation, right? Like that's just a wet thing.
That's because you have a set locked puck that you want to keep its integrity to keep its integrity throughout the entire process, and any agitation through that, from my thought, would break it down and create more channels and things.
That's from like the dry. What if you went like wet and made like, a prepared pre-wet puck, in the base of it and then ran it through?
I mean, worth trying in that, but I feel like I don't exactly know why, but with the, it'd be an interesting thing to try, but my idea would be that I just feel like the pre-wetting without the pressurized compartment of having it in that portafilter would just cause a whole lot of problems with like the extraction.
Because you wouldn't want to go too hot either, because you don't want it to fully extract straight away, right? Like you would...
Well, if you're just pre-wetting, I think it can be as hot as it wants to be. But I feel like putting it into the machine with the pressurized compartment is going to lock it in, like the puck in place. So when the water hits it, you're not depressurizing and losing. And that's when like the water flow rate gets all messed up.
Right. Interesting.
But interesting thing to test out or check. Like,
got a new experiment.
Try to bloom a espresso puck before putting it in the machine. Let's put it on the list. The next one we have coming up, and we've got to burn through these because we're running out of time here on the pod, is the Flair Wizard Steamer. So these guys are sending me one out. They're back ordered because everyone's loving them. But look at this. It's a steam wand that goes on your stovetop. So basically, it's so cool.
That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's a little like rocket ship looking device that sits on top of your stovetop. You put water in the bottom, and then the heat was going to build up the pressure. On the top, you have a little gauge that tells you when you're at the right pressure, whether you need to turn down the heat, increase it, and that kind of thing. And then it's just like a machine. It's just got a steam wand that you put your milk on and you steam your milk. So these guys obviously invented it because they have the Flair manual coffee makers. Yeah, like the pull down lever coffee maker. That
can you imagine camping?
Exactly.
Can you imagine camping?
So this is like full cafe experience when camping. You could have no electricity, you could have no power, and you could make the world's most banging coffee.
This might be the most game-changing coffee machine tool.
Oh, there you go.
Hold on. This might be the most game-changing coffee tool I've ever seen. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. So they've answered a very specific ask from their audience who make manual espresso, and now you could do it with any heat source and create steamed milk.
Hello, AeroPress, this.
Honestly,
I'm getting my swag. Let's go.
Yeah, I was about to say literally the ultimate gift for any camping soul, anyone that like heads out of town.
I also don't camp, but I would want that. I'd make a hot chocolate with that.
Yeah. I'm just looking through the notes here. Yeah, 700 ml capacity, two steam nozzles for different skill levels. Obviously, just with like, I guess, how the pressure comes out and the texture of milk that you're going for. I mean, they're all going for, these are coffee nerds here. So this is like milk that you can make latte art with from this kind of machine.
It's kind of like, is this the ultimate kind of for the matcha souls in the world that are waking up with a matcha but don't want to have like an espresso machine just for the steam wand?
For sure. For sure.
This is the ad.
Next one that I want to talk about, just because Apex Labs, I've talked about it before, but, you know, different mineral components to add to your coffee. They have to be the easiest way to improve your coffee without really doing anything other than adding a few drops of something into your coffee. This crazy stat just came out from the recent competitions in Jakarta. 44 out of the 50 competitors in the brewers used Apex Lab. So 88% of competitors use Apex. So if you want to know whether it works, that's pretty damning. And if you want it to get even better, 8 out of 9 of the finalists used Apex Labs. So 88% of the finalists.
This is something I wish Midwesterners knew about coffee. Like, it is, you want to put your hazelnut and your vanilla syrups or whatever, but like try a few drops of Apex Labs and it's like, wow, I have an entirely different tasting coffee. It's insane.
Seasoning for your water. They're these little droplets. We had them on a while back.
Yeah, and you can do different ones that are like ones that'll help out with like acidity, one that'll like increase like the floral and delicate notes, ones that'll make it like juicier and more full. Like they're
so you take them easy. And you go to a place, you know, my horrible.
Oh my God. Go do it. That'd be so funny.
With Keurig coffee. No shade to Keurig, but like, again, tastes like burnt tar. Let me put a little, we're back somewhere. We're getting somewhere.
We also, just a shout out to the team. I had to repost it because I love seeing Apex had their own mascot running around, the life-size droppers running around at the World of Coffee. Amazing.
The final one. This isn't an innovation. It's just balls to the wall. La Marzocco have partnered with Aimé Dore. Have I said that right?
Aimé Dore.
Say it again into my good ear.
Yeah, I crushed it.
To release this custom machine. This is made in the Officini Fratelli Bambi workshop of La Marzocco at an academia. So these are custom made linear minis. They are baller, and they come in at, for all the coffee nerds out there, $11,660 USD. So that's probably for Australians like $17,700. And it looks pretty insane. The craftsmanship, the detail, there's wood handles, there's wood little bars along the top, there's gold finishes. It's in British, like a matte British racing green. This is kind of like, for the coffee nerd, like the people that go out and spend like $10,000 on like a Gucci bag or like whatever it is. It's like, this is coming into the coffee nerd market, and this is where you're like, yeah, I'm going to spend like $12,000 on this piece of machinery.
Makes you feel a certain way. They look
it
so
gets you
beautiful.
going, and people think it's ridiculous. I absolutely love it.
The wood handle, the wood paddle, the gold. It's actually insane.
There's a little bit of rattan in the back where you put your cups.
Like a gold
This
one.
is a piece of art, though. Like, you aren't buying this to make coffee at this point. You're buying this because you have taste.
Yeah.
You have taste, and you like the finer things in life. And you might be a little shallow, but that's okay. You enjoy good coffee as well.
I will say the price is crazy, right? But like, if you're going to complain about the price on this, you're complaining about the price of any designer piece of thing. But I also will say, I've been to Academia in Florence.
Yeah.
I've been in the workshop. You've got like 3 guys that have worked there for like 40 years, bashing metal into shapes and like using these old school things. Everything is handcrafted. When I was there, they were like painting stuff with like blow torches. The guy who's like one of the head builders there, he doesn't even own a phone and lives out in a cabin with no electricity. And like his whole life, he's just like disconnected from the world. If you watch one of our old videos, he's on it. But these things are truly like handcrafted. Like La Marzocco's are already handcrafted in their workshops, like on a line, but it's all hand done. This is like handcrafted to every piece of material is like made with craft and care. So if you hate it, I hate you. No, okay.
I want to call that guy the Italian samurai.
Yeah.
Like, he's the sword crafter.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, that brings us to the end of the 2025 list of things that we've been looking at and playing around with. KP, what a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Where can people find you on socials for all your antics?
Yeah, you can follow me on my coffee reviews account. My first pick is actually a little cafe on Chapel Street called Revolver Upstairs.
Oh, I've heard of it.
If you ever want to check that out.
They make their coffee by just squeegeeing the carpet after a big night into a cup.
Yeah, and that's why it tastes so good. It's K-Payne, as always. It's K-Payne.
It's K-Payne. It's K-Payne. TikTok is where you're really flying, but all of it's great.
Yeah.
Liam, thank you so much for another great episode. I love these ones where we get to look through a bunch of different stuff. Is there anything else that we have coming? Oh, here's a little sizzle. We've been interviewing some new hosts. Yeah. We've been diving deep. We've been looking for the best. And I think we've got a little someone on the line. This dude, it's going to be big. They are a fountain of knowledge. They're overflowing, oozing knowledge out of them. They are so well connected in the coffee world and are going to bring so much to this podcast. We're in the final stages of locking it down, but there's a little sizzle for you to get excited for the future of It's Just Coffee. See you later, nerds. Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.